So, what do you need to change the oil on the 2024 Toyota Tacoma? I'm a bit over 1,000 miles. I'm going to change mine. So I went to the store the other day and picked up a bunch of supplies that you're going to need to change the oil. Let's run through. I'll show you. Okay, let's take a look. First of all, you need your favorite beverage, of course. Mine, the green nectar. Secondly, I've got an oil pan here that's holding all of the supplies that I need, including one optional item that I'm going to add to the truck. And that, of course, is the Fumoto, or Fumoto, I don't know how you pronounce it, oil drain valve. The purpose of this thing, you screw it up under there, and then you only have to move a little lever the next time you want to change the oil. Very handy. Can't wait to have this on. It's going to make future oil changes so much easier. Next up, a piece of cardboard. You're going to want to put this underneath the oil filter because when you unloosen that and pull it off, oil's going to drop, and you want to have a way to direct it into your oil pan. Otherwise, you're going to have oil all over the place, and then you just throw it away when you're done. Tools wise, you need a torque wrench. You're going to want to torque, if you don't go with the Fumoto drain, you're going to want to torque the drain plug back in at 30 pound-feet. You're going to need a 14 millimeter socket, deep well, short, it doesn't really matter. An extension wouldn't hurt, and of course, a ratchet to be able to get it off. Now, as far as the other supplies, of course, you're going to need oil. Now, I'm going with Mobil Extended Performance. I've seen a lot of other people use this. I'm a Mobil fan anyway, but whatever your favorite oil is what you want to use. The truck itself calls for a 0W20. That's what I'm going to use. Quantity-wise, you're going to need somewhere around 6 quarts. It's actually, technically, I believe 5.9, but you can't buy just 5.9, so I bought 6 quarts. Next up, of course, you're going to need a funnel. You have to have a way to dump all of this nice new oil into the truck. Makes sense, right? You're going to need an oil filter. Toyota calls for this specific number. It's a 90915-YZZN1, and I was shocked when I actually held this thing in my hand. Look at how tiny this thing is. This is the oil filter. I mean, look at that thing. It's like nothing. Very surprising to me. I'm used to oil filters that are really the size of a big can of corn, right? No longer. You have this teeny tiny thing. I will tell you that a lot of the auto parts stores are carrying the Toyota specific brand now, or at least the OEM marked oil filter. This is not made by Toyota, and I wonder if it actually says on here where it is made. It does. It says here, made in Thailand by Denso. So it's actually a Denso oil filter made in Thailand, not a Toyota made oil filter, which isn't surprising. They don't make a lot of the stuff they use, right? Gloves. Never hurts to have a pair of gloves to keep all the oil and crap off of your hands, because if you're like me, inevitably, when you take that oil plug out or the filter itself, you're going to get oil all over the place. I fully expect to have oil running off of my arm when I do it, because I've done this before, right? Next up, just to make life a little bit easier, to get the oil filter off, one of these little, what do they call these things? Oil cap or oil filter wrenches, they call this, I guess. It says it removes, 14 flute, I guess, or 65/67 millimeter size filters. Make sure you test out what you buy while you're at the store. The worst thing would be to have everything set up, be laying underneath the truck, go to take the filter off, and you can't. This thing fits on there, and then you take the end of your extension or even your socket itself, plug it in here, and then you can just torque this thing right off. Works very, very easily. I've tried all the other wrenches and things. They don't work. Now, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had a problem. Years ago, I was changing the oil in my garage, laying underneath a car. It was a, I think it was a Pontiac. And I was laying under the car, and I had one of those old clamp-on kind of oil filter removal tools. It would not work. All it would do is slip. And it was the first oil change, so of course, the filter was put on there like it was never meant to be removed by the factory, right? You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I decided it'd be easier just to pierce that thing with a screwdriver and use it like a lever and kind of twist it like this. It sounded really good when I did it, and I did do it. However, it was on there so tight that the screwdriver ripped the filter itself as I turned. So it wouldn't loosen it, it just ripped the material. I could not get it off. Meanwhile, I had already drained all the oil out and ruined the filter, so I couldn't fill it up with oil and take it somewhere else. I towed it to one of the local oil change places. They probably got a heck of a laugh out of me. They changed it. I don't think, they did actually charge me for a full oil change because of course they had to fill it up and all that stuff, but it didn't matter to me. All I wanted to do was have it done. So lesson learned, right? Very important. Get yourself the right tool. Again, one of these, I guess, oil filter cap wrenches to take that oil filter off. That's about it. That's all you really need. Of course, there are a couple other extra things. You can have some sort of a blanket or tarp or something like that to put underneath the truck if you're doing it in your garage like I would be doing, so that you don't splatter oil all over the place, because you know it's going to happen. If you can do it inside, I would. If you have to do it outside, make sure it's not being done on a windy day, because when the truck is sitting up here and the oil is draining into the pan, if it's a windy day, that oil is so thin, it's going to blow all over the place. Believe it or not, it happens. You also need some rags probably. Inevitably, you're going to get oil all over the place. It's just the way it goes, unless you're using one of these valves. I highly recommend these. I've used them once before on a Tacoma. Man, did it make things easy. Lastly, disposal of the oil. I always use the empty containers to go ahead and pour in the oil. Make sure that the oil pan you get has a way to do that. I still see some out there that are just fully round or circular with no little spout-like thing on the end. Try pouring oil into a container like this off of the edge of something like this. You're gonna make a mess. The whole point of this, I guess, is just to make it as easy as possible for yourself, save a little bit of money. Speaking of money, what I paid for this, I am all in for, let's see, I am all in for $85.84. However, we're going to be reusing some of these things. I can reuse the pan, obviously. I can reuse the funnel. And the wrench that I have down here. So when you subtract those things off, I'm going to be paying somewhere around $63, $64 per oil change, which, if I'm not mistaken, is quite a bit less than what you're going to pay at the shop or maybe a third party, something like that. Anyway, I just wanted to get on and run over the things that you need to change the oil in the Tacoma. I'm going to be doing it in mine soon. Leave a comment. Let me know if I've left anything off. I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.